Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. We start our show. I've been talking plenty about this guy over the last, 2 years as Victor Wembanyama. Scary moment last night in the Spurs-Blazers game as the 7'5" unicorn goes down hard. Watch here. Chin hit the floor. He's out. Unconscious. Left the game. Concussion. Did not return, which meant the Trailblazers got some life. Late in the game, with 15 seconds to go, they get the alley-oop and an and one on a nifty feed down low. They go up by 3. San Antonio gets one chance to try and tie the game, but this shot is off, and the Blazers, the 7 seed, knock off the San Antonio Spurs last night, 106-103. And even that series up at a game apiece. That next game doesn't come till Friday. The NBA concussion protocol is 48 hours without any symptoms, and that is a huge storyline as we welcome you to this Hot Mic on a Wednesday morning, the 22nd day of April, 2026. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. Welcome, everybody. We advertised it yesterday on what to watch is one of the top viewing items last night, and it started off great, and then Wemby got hurt and changed everything there. You hope he's okay. We'll see. Again, there's 2 days off, but a travel day thrown in there as well. Then Game 4 will be Sunday in Portland. Bring that up because the winner of that series will play the winner of the Wolves-Nuggets series, and everybody had assumed it's going to be San Antonio moving on over the 7th-seeded Blazers. Well, this certainly changes things with him being hurt. All the West series, by the way, outside of the Thunder and the Suns, is 1-1. The Rockets came up, 2-0. The Lakers won last night, so it's the Wolves, Nuggets, and Spurs, Blazers are 1-1. The Lakers held off Houston without Luka, without Austin Reeves. 41-year-old LeBron James is still doing it. They won last night to go up 2-0. 76ers stunned Boston last night to even that up at a game apiece. So we got a lot to get to today. We are on the eve of the NFL draft. We'll chat about that today to get us ready for tomorrow. And our 7th annual Hot Mic mock draft is locked and loaded and ready to go tomorrow. I am cautiously optimistic about tomorrow. That will change to completely negative at about 7:03 tomorrow night because the New York Football Jets have 2 first-round picks. I want to say, I looked this up, the last time they had 2 first-rounders, if it was Mark Sanchez and Nick Mangold or was DeBrickashaw Ferguson, either, that was a good draft. It's been a little bit. We'll see. They have the 2 and the 16 tomorrow night, which is the only thing that's picking me out of the doldrums right now, because last night the New York Metropolitans opened up a 3-game set with, lo and behold, the Minnesota Twins. Like I said, this week in my house has been really interesting because the Mets played the Cubs last weekend, which is my wife's favorite team. The Jackman is certainly a Cubs fan and saw how that went. Mets lost Friday, lost Saturday, lost Sunday to make it 11 straight losses. Now this week it's the Twins, and there's no shortage, obviously, of people that know who I cheer for, and they came out of the woodwork last night. They were all quiet to start the game because to start the game it looked pretty darn good. It got so bad the Mets were burning sage to try and dispel this 11-game win streak. Francisco Lindor finally decided to show up with a 3-run home run to the upper tank. Yeah, the grimace is back. Everybody's loving it. But the rest of the game happened. Nolan McLean did not allow a base runner in the first 5 innings. He had a perfect game going until Byron Buxton changes it with one swing of the bat. A 2-run home run. And all of a sudden, okay, it's 3-2. Top of the 7th, Luke Keyshaw delivers with an RBI single. Cody Clemens come on down. Just like that, we're tied at 3. We go to the 9th. Devin Williams, former Brewer great, can't get anybody out. Mark Vientos tries to get the lead runner. I don't know what we're doing here. Take the shore out. Keyshaw up at the plate, delivers with a bounding ball through the left side. James Outman scores. The Twins lead it. Bo Bichette, who, by the way, can't hit his weight right now, couldn't get it. Yeah, Mets fans are letting him have it. Williams then walks Matt Wallner. It wasn't even close. He got booed out of the stadium last night. The Twins come all the way back and beat the Mets 5-3. 12 losses in a row for the National League team that plays in New York City. Simeon Woods Richardson, not pictured, went 5 innings, allowed 4 hits, 3 runs. Cole Sands got the win in relief. Nolan McLean, his great effort goes completely by the wayside. 6 2/3, allowed 3 runs and struck out 10. Devin Williams, nice job by your efforts here. He recorded 0 outs, gave up 2 runs, walked 3, and his ERA balloons to 10. The Mets fans cheered Alex Warren, who retired 3 consecutive Twins striking him out to get out of the 9th inning. That's how bad it's gotten. Game 2 tonight. You'll see the Major League debut of Connor Prelip. The left-hander will go for the Twins. Clay Holmes will try to stop the Mets from losing a 13th straight game. I'm just left to sit here and it's April 22nd at a $340 million payroll, and it may be over. It may be over. We're not even out of the month of April yet, and they are. Here's the only solace I have, and this is a total Mets or Jets fandom, is to glom on when another team stinks. Currently, right now, the Phillies are only a game in front of us, which is the only thing I have hang on to right now. The Phillies have lost 7 in a row. They're 8-15 on the year, and meanwhile, 7-16. That's what $340 million will buy you these days. I just don't understand it. Carlos Mendoza is living on borrowed time here. For the Twins, they snapped their 4-game losing skid, so at least they got that going for them in the process yesterday by beating New York. I mean, we're not even in May, and we already got the bags on the heads is an interesting deal at Citi Field. Maybe they should have got the live chicken, like they say in Major League with the Pedro Serrano trying to get out of a slump deal. When you're bad, you find ways to lose. And that's what they've done time and time and time again in this losing skid. And I know nobody cares. I mean, I get it. It's the rich team out of New York. You know, we got we're not crying any tears over that because the Twins are moderately overachieving to start at 12-11 to start their year. I will just tell you, again, Mets fans are not Yankee fans. Yankee fans they believe everything is owed to them. They think they have all the key. Granted, they haven't won a World Series since 2009. Just throwing that out there. But but they believe they walk on water. They have everything, right? They have the glitzy stadium. They have everything, literally everything. They have 27 world championships, the whole 9 yards. Mets fans literally came in with the worst record in the history of baseball. They held that for 50 years till the Tigers broke it, and then the White Sox broke that a couple years ago, right? We are known for futility. We are known for collapses, whether it be 2007, whether it be last year, right? They're the lovable losers, even though there's nothing lovable about them right now. And I get it. Steve Cohen, who bought the team a few years ago and invested a ton of money. So we're going to bring a world championship back to Flushing. It's been 40 years. 40! It's 40 years this October since the Mets won it. 1986. One of the great moments of my young life that I got to stay up and watch Jesse Orosco throw his glove in the air when they won it to beat the Red Sox in one of the all-time great World Series. Since then, I still have to live with Bobby Bonilla every year, right? I have to live with the fact that Tom Glavine couldn't get any Marlins out on the final day of the regular season. I have to live with the fact that Mr. Met got caught flipping off fans one day. I don't even know what that. We don't even have to cry in Jordan over Mr. Met right now. I have to live with the fact that that they traded Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez, and I see PCA become one of the best players in the game. I mean, honestly, and there's a bunch of other trades I could go down to. I have to live with the fact that Kenny Rogers walked in the winning run in Game 6 of the 1999 National League Championship Series against the Braves, walked in a run. I have to live with the fact they lost the Subway Series to the Yankees in 2000. 2006, my first year here, my little television, watching Game 7 when Scott Rowland and the Cardinals, who were overmatched. The Mets were the best team in the National League that year, and they beat Adam Wainwright, struck out Carlos Beltran looking in the bottom of the ninth inning in Game 7. Yeah. And that glimmer in 2015 when they made it to the World Series was unbelievable. Anybody around here, I was over the moon on that, and we were this close a couple years ago. That's what makes what's happening right now just bitterly painful. And I know that's the best thing about sports. We all have that attachment to one's team, whether it's for Viking fans out there that can recite every missed draft pick over the last 30 years, to the Gary Anderson game in the NFC Championship, to Blair Walsh missing in the Seahawks game in the playoffs at outside in 2015. That's what makes it great. Doesn't take away the pain from it, but it's what makes the attachment to it all that much better. I'm glad I still have it, that I'm not that far removed from it. Like, I've banished all the Jet stuff to the corner till next season until they prove it. That could all change tomorrow night with a good draft. So we'll see. We got a lot to get to here. It's a fun Wednesday show here, as we mentioned, on the eve of the NFL Draft. Our guest lineup is brought to us today by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Drew Trafton will be along in just a few minutes. I know it's like Christmas Eve for him. Drew will be part of our show tomorrow. We'll get his thoughts on what's going to happen with the first round of the NFL Draft, what his Seahawks may do as well in a different position than they were last year. Obviously, they had a home run with the drafting of Gray Zabel a year ago. At 9:35, we'll welcome Collin Thompson onto the show, former Cobber football standout. He is now the co-head coach of the Concordia flag football team. The Cobbers are playing for a championship this weekend at TCO Performance Center down in Eagan. We'll visit with Collin about changing gears and going from tackle football to flag football and how this much is boomed at Concordia in just 2 short years. That's at 9:35. In our second hour at 10:10, Brett McMurphy will be back on our show from the On3 Network, College Football Insider, to give us the latest on the Mountain West and its new bowl tie-ins. He had the story over the weekend on the Poinsettia Bowl coming back for this upcoming year. And we finally don't have to bug him about North Dakota State and FBS. We will chat with him about moving up to the Mountain West. We'll do that at 10:10. And to wrap the show, Bryce Lance will be with us, North Dakota State wide receiver. as he gets set to hear his name called. We expect that sometime on Friday evening, whether it be second round or third round. He will be the first FCS player off the board. It'll be the last time the Bison will be known as an FCS school for NFL draft consideration. We'll chat with him about what this is like, what it was like with him 5 years ago. He did this with his older brother. Certainly different circumstances there. We'll visit with Bryce coming up at 10:45 to wrap the show. So a lot to get to today. Therapy session is over. I've got it all out. I'm ready to get my heart broken again tonight when they lose to a rookie left-hander at home. We'll take our first break. We come back. Drew on the other side of the break to get us ready for round one of the NFL draft. There's the setup in Pittsburgh. Hot mic off and rolling. We are back after this.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
All right, what's the best way to describe your emotion for today, getting ready for tomorrow?
I'm intrigued at this point.
Okay.
Like I'm like there's like this sense of curiosity that's crept in about. I have a few things that I'm really curious about because I believe that there are going to be some big trades that take place.
I hope so, because there's no buzz with this draft right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah, and
ESPN's trying its hardest to get you.
Like, we don't know.
And normally I'm amped for it. Let's go, and I should be over the moon because my team has 2 picks tomorrow, including the second pick of the draft.
Yes,
and yet I'm not there. I don't know if I'll get there tomorrow night.
Do you have a sense on where the Jets are going? Because it seems like the winds, like the headwinds, changed on that pick.
I really wanted Arvell Reese.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like that may happen now. So maybe that's what I'm bummed about.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And also, there's not like we talked about last week. There's not a quarterback for them to take at 2.
No,
I would be way different on this. And you remember, you lived through the Zach Wilson experience with me 5 years ago when the Jets had the number 2 pick and they took him.
Yeah.
And I was not thrilled with that pick. You can go back and look at the tape because I wasn't. I'm not. This is not revisionist history. I think that affects my. See, you coming from a different position. Your team knows how to draft. They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Mine is consistently at the top. They can't figure this out.
Yes. Yeah. So and I mean, like what the Jets do could set up the rest of the top 5, the top 10. I mean, and like some of my intrigue too is, what capital is it going to take to move up in this draft, and what are teams going to accept to move back? Yeah. And that's obviously tied together. But you have is it going to be like, could you get a third out of a team and move up
see
15 spots?
Peter Schrager has his mock out this morning. He only does the one. He has Dallas trading with the Chiefs to move up to 9.
Okay, what did they give up?
To give up 12 and 20. That's a lot. Cowboys would get number 9 and 29.
You couldn't do that in a normal draft year.
Probably not.
That wouldn't be enough. And so that's really interesting. And then I look at teams like in the middle of the first round, like the Vikings.
Yeah.
Or at the back, and it's whatever happens in that first 10 picks, I could see like a really interesting, intriguing player just dropping because of this, where it's like it sets up really weird, and then all of a sudden, like I'm not saying like Love or but like maybe one of the top edge rushers is still weirdly available.
See, he's got Jeremiah Love going 3rd to the Cardinals.
Yeah, and that seems like way too rich of a spot for the Cardinals, because if you're the Cardinals,
they could trade down too, I guess, right? And
why take Jeremiah Love? Like, you need to build your trenches out if you're the Cardinals. It's like that's.
I'm trying to think, what does Arizona have?
Yeah. But you don't like
tight end.
Why spend a first round pick so if you give Jeremiah Love that much money, I think he's like a top 7 paid running back in the NFL. If you take him at that
where he's
spot,
at, okay, yeah.
And so it's like you want him further back, and you want him like maybe it's tough to spend that sort of capital on a running back if you're picking in the top 5 because you have so many needs, and it's going to be interesting. So I could see the Vikings or the Lions or somebody like that ending up with like a really intriguing player.
So he's got the Lions making a trade with the Rams. that the Rams would get the 17th pick, 118, and a 27 second rounder. The Lions move up to 13 to take Caden Proctor from Alabama.
Oh.
That the Lions would take Proctor. They trade with the Rams to move up.
Okay. Interesting.
That would be the only thing, because
Yeah.
like the trade over the weekend that the Bengals and the Giants had, which everyone said, it still wasn't. It was buzzworthy for those that are involved, but Dexter Lawrence getting traded for the 5th overall pick still didn't give a lot of buzz there.
Yeah, and like the way people looked at that from Cincinnati's perspective is like, well, who are they going to take?
Right.
And that's a good point. Like, it's like who, because you do have to look at team needs. Like, everybody talks about you just take best player available, but you don't. I mean, that's true, but it's always with the lens of, these teams are looking at it from their own team needs, and that will make a player seem better, in certain situations. And so that's kind of interesting. Like, I'm really curious who's going to be there when those middle teams pick, because it's like, does Sonny Styles fall out of that top 10?
I don't think so. I think he's in the top 5. I do.
He's that talented.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard some people say, like, of all the players in this draft class, like, he might be like the best bet to be the future Hall of Famer coming out of this first round.
Out, like, past the Titans. Like, the Titans are at 4. I don't think he goes beyond that.
Say like Jeremiah Love's still there, which he probably will be. Sonny Styles and one of like the top 3 edge rushers. It's like, does Robert Saleh like make the case that he needs Sonny Styles? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be. So to answer your question, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if it'll be like exciting necessarily. I hope that the pace of the draft.
Well, that was my next question. Will that be? It'll be quicker tomorrow night. See, I don't think
they don't have to dwell as much.
I don't think it will be. I know they've chopped the minutes down from 10 to 8, but they still have to fill 3.5 hours. This thing's scheduled to go to 10:30. I don't see us off the air before 10:45.
If there's like a lot of moving around, because some of these teams have a lot of draft capital,
right? We got like multiple teams with multiple first round picks.
Do you package those to move up? Do you have like some teams that have a volume of picks, like to bring the Vikings up again? They have 9 picks in this draft. They have multiple. They have 4 in the top 100. Like, what if you package 2 of those together and move up and get? It's like so there could be teams, and nobody's really talking about them doing that. So you could have teams like that do move up, and then it becomes more interesting where it's like, okay, well, what are they doing? Who are they trying to jump? I'm curious too, like, where does Tate go, or where does the first receiver go in this first round? Because that's going to kind of set up a lot of.
I'm watching Arvell Reese here, and I'm drooling like, get this guy. I want the Jets to get this guy. He's really good.
Well, there are only like 2 really good pass rushers in this draft class.
And David Bailey's the other from Texas Tech, who if they could go and get him too, which is fine. Arvell Reese has been penciled in at number 2 forever, and the Jets need about 8 guys. And that's the one thing. Quarterback is another need, and there's not one for them to take.
But I mean, do you want to hang on? I mean, like, Geno Smith is a stopgap for a year.
Aaron Glenn's we're rolling with Geno in 2026, and then we're going to be bad enough in 2027 that we can go get one of the guys that's coming out.
There's so many guys in 27 right now. They're saying right now.
How many times I've heard that?
Right. I mean. Zach Wilson emerged from a class of like 5 or 6 guys. That was
Sam Darnold was the guy.
Yeah,
and you can definitely check the tape on that one. I was all on board on Sam Darnold. Yeah. I never wavered on him.
He panned out great.
Of course he did. He panned out great for the Vikings too. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
That's the thing about what tomorrow night is, and we'll talk about this tomorrow on the show. We're excited. Doing for the 7th year in a row. I can't believe we're doing this because I remember the first one we did with a bunch of fans we had come on.
That was so cool.
Which was really fun that we did it. It was
absolute chaos.
It was the COVID draft as well, which
actually you set up a show that day that was probably like about just as difficult as what the NFL ended up doing.
Yes, right.
It was the same thing.
Oh, it was a blast. But that's the fun part about tomorrow, I think, for the hardcore fans and even the average ones. They get it. Hey, this is the start of the new year. This is the start of, can we build something that ends in glory in February?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen teams in recent years go from, the basement of their division to the Super Bowl.
That's again the allure of football.
2 seasons. I mean, it's just like that. And then also you see teams drop that quickly too. And it's like we talk so much about, just the short windows of Super Bowl opportunities, like going from 3 to 4 seasons to now it really feels like you have like a 2-year window.
You have a 2-year window, basically.
And then it's back to the drawing board.
So here's the draft order. Obviously, number 1 pick is the Raiders. We know Mendoza's going to be number 1.
That one seems
tomorrow.
to have been stamped away before the national title.
In your mind,
game
where does the draft start? Is it with the Jets at 2, or when does it think, all right, here we go, this is when things are going to get going?
I think we know with relative certainty that the Jets are going to take one of the
defensive player.
Yeah, they're going to take an edge.
So the
one
Cardinals
of the 2 best.
probably at 3.
Yeah, because the trade opportunity's on the table too, and you don't know what the Cardinals are going to do. And you have like the McShays of the world saying like they're going to take Jeremiah Love, and it's like. And his report, or whose report was that said a GM said you throw positional value out the window this year, which is kind of weird because it's like you're not really going to do that because there's so much money tied to these guys and the 5th-year options, and so it's like I guess to an extent, but you're not going to see. Guards go in the first round, that sort of thing this year. It's probably not going to happen.
So the back half of the draft, after the Jets pick at 16, the Vikes obviously go at 18, where Dylan Thieneman has been the guy.
Yeah.
The Oregon safety, they've pinned on him basically for the last 2 months.
The funny thing is, he looks like a Harrison Smith.
Yes.
If you watch the tape, it's like you could go from Harrison Smith to Thieneman, and that'd be a great move. I think Sadiq could still be
Kenyon
there.
Sadiq is the one I want them to do because they can move on from T.J. Hawkinson and draft him.
That'd be wild if he's still sitting, and he could be. There's a very realistic scenario that plays out where both those guys are sitting there.
Remember and granted, why Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was fired is because his inability to draft. But a couple years ago, when the Vikes got creative and got J.J. McCarthy and then went back and got Dallas Turner later in the first round, I don't know. We can see if they can get creative here.
Yeah, and I think creativity with that much draft capital could be interesting with the Vikings. They could move up in the round.
Is running things. So
you could 18 is a really interesting spot to be sitting in this draft because all those blue chippers, they're going to be at the end of that run. Where people say there are only 18, 20 guys that should be first rounders, and they're going to be there. They're going to get one of them. So I like where they are. I'm definitely watching the first round through at least that point because I don't think the Seahawks are picking. I think they're going to take.
Really?
They'll take whatever. Some team's going to offer them a 6.
Well, Schneider will not drop out of that. What I am interested in. Beyond how long it goes and what my team does and what the Vikings do, if there is a trade, if there is something to get the spice going on it.
And there are some major pieces in the NFL
that are out there that are available.
Yeah, we know Max Crosby's available.
Correct.
What could the Raiders do with that? And is that for? Here's the interesting thing. I don't know if that'd be for 2026 draft capital if they move him.
I don't
think it's for
so.
27.
I agree with you.
And
what
I think
you just talked about with the quarterbacks that are available. To me, who's really interesting is the Chiefs. Because Kansas City has never been in this position, basically in the last decade plus since Mahomes came into the league.
Yeah.
And now Kansas City's in the top 10. What do the Chiefs do tomorrow night?
And do they move back? Could somebody come up with multiple picks and say, hey, what if we shift this a little bit because they're looking for their defense, right? The Chiefs probably are looking for, that cornerback. They've got to replace a cornerback. They've got, maybe along their defensive line, they're going to want to bolster something. One of these tackles is probably going to be available, right there too. And it might be a little bit too rich to take a tackle at that point because some of these guys don't have the traditional, metrics that you're looking for and size, their arm. The big knock on this draft class's tackles is their arms aren't long enough. You always get those T-Rex analogies, and it's they could play guard, but they might not be a traditional tackle. And they're all right tackles, they're not left tackles. So it's okay, do they move back and then take one of those guys? They are interesting. The Chiefs are in an interesting spot too. I've seen Dallas as a trade partner for them. In 4 picks that might accrue you something in the draft.
Let me end with this on the FCS front, because we're intrigued on that. This is the last time for North Dakota State going to be known as an FCS school. And we had Cole Payton on yesterday. We got Bryce Lance on coming up later in the show. I am interested as well as we get to Saturday, what we see out of the smaller school guys, because that is getting less and less every year simply because of what the portal has done to small school guys, then to move up to Power 4 schools, how that transpires, and also the amount of Mountain West guys I'm going to pay attention to. I never have done that before.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be really interested to see how many Mountain West players are drafted the entire weekend. I'm really interested in that now.
Yeah,
I wasn't
too.
before. I will be now.
Yes, yeah, and Cole Payton is like, I know he said he's thinking day two.
Day two, baby, is what he said to us yesterday.
Yeah, which was
exact
really,
words.
That like kind of that got my attention. My eyebrows raised when he said
Again,
that.
Todd McShay told me the same thing on that.
Yeah.
When I put that out there on Pro Day, he said I would be stunned if he's not picked on the first 2 days of the draft.
Yeah. And it's like, the number of teams telling him, hey, we really like you. And that's really interesting. If he's taken in day two. Bryce Lance is really curious to me, like just with the depth of or the lack thereof depth of this wide receiver class. Like he seems like, people have been talking him up like as kind of like this best kept secret.
Yep.
And so it's like, where does he, at what point does a team just go, okay, we're going to grab him because they're getting nervous, or like this is the spot for him. Like, where do they have him valued? And I think it would be really early. I think early on Saturday we could see movement there for sure. If not, a
Before
surprise.
that,
on Friday.
All right, save your best material for tomorrow. Stock up, and we'll see you back here for the mock draft tomorrow.
I'm excited because whatever we do is going to be wrong, but it's going to be it's going to be interesting.
Well, you've gotten a couple of years in a row correct. No?
For the Seahawks,
Yes.
I have,
Yes.
but it's like they've been like telegraphing their picks. If I'm forced to pick tomorrow, which if we don't do trades or anything, that'll
trades.
be
This thing can take 6 hours, and we only have 2
sure.
hours to fill. So. We used to do
true.
3. Remember, we did it for
did
3
the
hours a
extra
couple
hour,
times. It was
and we
fantastic.
barely got it in. It was like 11:47.
We gotta get off the air.
We have 10 more picks to go.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Trafton joining us here on this Wednesday. Will be part of our mock draft show tomorrow. Let's break. We come back. We'll talk some flag football. We come back. Championship is on the line. The Cobbers, in their second year, be playing for it. We'll visit with them when we return after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot mic off and rolling here on a busy Wednesday on the day before the day. We'll have some more draft chatter coming up in our second hour, but we're not done with the football talk, except it's a different kind this weekend. We know TCO Performance Center is going to be busy. That's the home of the Minnesota Vikings. And on their field at TCO will be the flag football championships in Minnesota being played on Saturday. The Concordia Cobbers are the top seed. They'll play in the semifinals Saturday at 4 o'clock. One of their co-head coaches, Collin Thompson, joins us, who is a fantastic Cobber in his own right in his playing days, which makes it seem like it was a long time ago. It was just a couple years ago, but he joins us here this morning to chat about that. It's great to see. I appreciate you doing this. Tell me your interest in this. Was this immediate when you heard, or what got you involved in wanting to be part of flag football?
Yeah, so last year was the inaugural first season, the start of this. And my younger sister, who had come up here to do some basketball and some volleyball for Concordia, was like, I want to play football. I want to do this. And she actually started doing it first. Bree Nelson, who was the coach last year, she, was doing great and asked me to actually come and be willing to help out a little bit. So really through my sister, through the connections, I was like, I love football. I love this. Let me come and help out. And then this year when they needed someone to take over, I was right there. I said, let me keep doing it. So that's how it worked.
So you're doing this. The team is obviously having success. What has this been like to hop in and then see the team perform as well as they have?
It's been incredible. It's very different coaching girls versus coaching guys, and especially coaching people who aren't football players. They haven't been playing football for 20 years of their life. So I get to teach a lot of fundamentals or a lot of beginner skills that once they catch on, like the growth is exponential. I'm not just improving little things every day. we get to install something, they go out, execute it, and it's awesome to see.
All right, so give us, for the people that don't know, what is the league, what schools are in it, and how does this all play out for what's coming on the weekend?
Yeah, so it's a collection of Midwest teams. The Vikings are sponsoring, hosting, and it's been a mix of a lot of Minnesota schools. So it's us, the College of St. Benedict, St. Olaf, Bethel University, as well as Augsburg, Gustavus. And then we get Wisconsin Stout coming over from Wisconsin. We get Augustana coming in from South Dakota. And then University of Northwestern St. Paul. So kind of just a mix of, a lot of Minnesota, a little Wisconsin, a little South Dakota, but continuing to grow. And I think within the next 2 years, it's going to expand through all the states up here.
Collin, where do you find players? Is this like you're going out, like you're putting like flyers up, or how do you get a roster together?
Yeah, right now we're mixed of just Concordia students who would be interested. So we have a lot of soccer girls. We have a lot of multi-sport athletes where it's like they came to Concordia, they picked a sport. Now it's the spring and they don't have anything going on. Hey, come play flag football for me. Yeah. I think we have some goals and some plans to maybe start getting some recruiting going, bringing some people in that want to come in and play flag, especially as the sport grows. But for right now, we're mixed up of people who just came and found us and wanted to do it. So
when do you practice? How does all that go about?
So we get a few days a week. We work around all the other sports because we're smaller and we don't really need to. So like right now, football, great, because football with guys, we practice at 6 a.m. And so football is on our field, off our field by 8 a.m. And then it's the afternoon and we'll have soccer practicing and we'll either take a side area or wait till they finish up. We have track people running around on the outside. It's kind of, you drive past Jake Christensen Stadium in the afternoon, you're going to see 4 or 5 different teams at any given time. So we just slot in when we can.
So you found players here. How do you go about actually the coaching practice? We're watching video of a practice earlier, I think from last week. Give us how this all shakes out and what the game consists of.
So it's a little different because it's 5-on-5. So it's not full sevens. It's not like you would expect a 7-on-7 football. All 4 of your receivers are eligible. So you have a center that snaps, but then she will go out for a route. You're only playing, 5-on-5 defense. It's a shortened field, about 25 yards wide and only about 50 in length. And so a lot of different strategy than what you'd expect. I mean, a lot of football fundamentals stay the same. It's teaching routes, it's teaching coverages, it's how to guard girls. But, you're not seeing true 3-route concepts or a cover 2. Like it all kind of mixes up with how you want to play it. And so that's an adjustment, but a fun one.
How busy are you? Like, what are you doing during the game when it actually gets going?
I'm lucky because I have my sister is our starting quarterback, and she gets to sit and watch film with me, and I break things down for her, and it's really complicated for her, but it's really easy for everybody else. And so I get to kind of go back and forth with her. I'll call in a play, I'll give her adjustments, I will do things, but they execute, they go out and do it. I keep an eye for, what is defense doing? I watch the bigger picture, let them handle how it works out. And then defensively, I have a good group of girls who we have a system, we keep it in place, and we're pretty consistent with it, and they execute on it. So I don't have to worry too much about them.
How good is the football, I'll ask?
It's impressive. We played a team this last weekend who has a girl who probably has a better arm than me and most people, I would bet. If you're not a high level quarterback, I think this girl has a better arm. I saw her roll out and throw it 25 yards on a dot. And I've seen some really tough football, and it's awesome because I don't think there is a huge gap in skill level. Among the top 6 schools, everyone is beating everyone. It is competitive. There is no just one team that dominates all.
So you're playing this weekend. You're the number 1 seed. Give us the lowdown on how this all plans out and maps out for this weekend, what you have going on.
Yeah. So with a short season and fairness and how they went back and forth a lot on structure, but ended up on a really interesting structure where the top 4 seeds kind of get a bye to the afternoon, and 5 through 9 play a whole double elimination tournament. And by the time the 2 teams that get out of that finish, they'll have played 3 or 4 games already. Then 2 winners of that have to play the 3 and 4 seed. We get a direct bye to the semifinals. We don't play till 4:00.
Okay.
We'll get to see a team that has already played either several games that day or a game right before us. And it's win that game, make it to a championship, lose that game, play a consolation game. So we're in a set up in a really good spot with that number 1 seed.
So basically you're sitting around all day waiting to figure out who you play.
Yes, absolutely.
And you were telling me off air this second year of being down there, and it's draft weekend, that the Vikings and all the big wigs are basically right there, correct?
Yeah, last year we were between games and we were up in just kind of their stands area, and it's an awesome facility. They have great offices, windows, and it's actually one of the girls on the team was like up peeking, and she starts freaking out and getting super excited, and she's like, "It's Kevin O'Connell! It's Kevin O'Connell!" And like he actually sees her, and they have a funny little interaction, and he gave us a wave, and like sure enough, all the action's happening right there.
That's fantastic. How exciting is this for you? I mean, granted, your football career ended a couple years ago. Now to still be connected to the game, describe that.
It's awesome. I'm super happy with how my football career went. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I, get to close the book on that. But getting to come back and coach both with football and then with this flag is so much different, but so much so fulfilling. Like I get to really use my skills, the things I know, put it into practice for these girls, and they go out and execute. And when they do that, that is just as rewarding as if I was out there. Sometimes I wish I could put a helmet on or put some, strap up and do it. Maybe at practice, sometimes they find me trying to play quarterback and throwing just to get a little action. But no, it is really rewarding to get to kind of inspire these girls, teach the girls, and see them go out and execute.
What was your least favorite place to play in the MIAC?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think Carleton's grass field always, and it doesn't help that we is a nice place, but we always play there at the very end of the year on a cold, snowy, grass field. I don't know if their sideline is tilted at an angle, so you're doing calf raises the whole time. That's a tough one for me because and I'm actually allergic to grass, so not majorly, but enough that it bugs. So coming up here, turf fields, the one grass school that remains.
What were your experiences like in Collegeville? What were those games like for you to play at St. John's?
The first time to go into Collegeville and get to play on that field, that environment, it's super incredible. I remember we played an incredible game against St. John's where defensively we held them to -6 rushing yards, and we were firing on all cylinders, and barely, I think we came out one touchdown down, or it ended in a very close one. And just, the environment there, the experience is getting to, it's awesome to get to go in and try and knock off a top seed like that and get to play with the expectations being, if we win, it's awesome. And if we hold them close, it's still really great.
A couple minutes left here with Collin Thompson, co-head coach of the Concordia flag football team. What would this mean if you guys are able to win this championship in your second year of actually doing this as a sport? How big a deal would this be?
I think it's a huge deal. I know that this sport as a whole is growing, and so to be able to go to the school, go to people around the area and say, hey, look, not only is this an opportunity, we're at the forefront of this. We are competing, we're winning. And I have a group of girls who really want to win. I think we talked about it at practice yesterday. We don't want to just be happy with competing. We don't want to just be a part of this. We have a goal. We have, a desire to win. And I think for everyone and the hard work we've put in wants to come away with it.
Do you see, if you're even the kind of success you've had this year, that more women are going to come out next year?
I think so. And I sure hope so. I'm in several chats with nationwide coaches talking about the growth of the league, with recruits, with a lot of people at the high school age who are interested. I know Fargo's starting to really push towards a lot of the flag leagues. And I think yes, absolutely. It's going to continue to grow, and we'll find the people that want to come out and do it. And maybe, recruit a couple girls that are just coming to play flag football for me.
Do you see it where you're playing out-state schools here, maybe in the not-too-distant future as well, if it keeps growing?
I think that, our league is definitely poised for growth, where we will get, I know that there's some North Dakota schools that are interested or maybe are starting up leagues. The Minnesota scene is growing over in Wisconsin. And already with the 9 teams we have, it's kind of tough to balance playing a lot. And so I think we could really start to see some split leagues, maybe some conferences, maybe some different groupings where we are getting to play a little bit further, a little different areas.
Collin, this was great, man. I really appreciate you doing this. Good luck. Have a blast down there, and thanks for the time this morning, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Collin Thompson joining us, Concordia co-head flag football coach. Cobbers will play down at TCO Performance Center in Eagan, as you heard him say, Saturday at 4 in a semifinal. If they win that, they'll come back and play at a little after 6 on Saturday. So add that to the pile of the craziness we got going on Saturday. Looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. And they've had some great success. You can see them out there on the field. They can ball. And it's, again, flag football now is in the Olympic Games coming in a couple years. This is only trending this way in terms of interest and popularity, not just around our region, but nationwide on that. Appreciate him giving us a few minutes. All right, let's break. Come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour. Chat some Mountain West football and the NFL draft. That sounds pretty good. Wrap it up. Hour 1 of Hot Mike. We'll do it right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. This was the scene yesterday on the south side of Fargo. Shanley finally has its own softball field. They debuted it yesterday against Davies. This down at Bennett Park. Something that's been in the works for a while. If you've covered any sort of spring sport, specifically softball in the area, Shanley, and I brought up Randy Nelson's name last week. If we can loop that again, Eric, that would be great. That they played softball wherever. If it was on Sid Cichy Stadium, they did that. I remember Randy actually getting the outfield fence brought in to go and do that. And that was the first I can remember in the area of a team that was playing softball on its football field. So the fact that now they finally have a place to play is pretty darn cool. So congrats to them. They had a beautiful day yesterday to go out there and do it. If you're wondering, it's just southeast of the Shanley campus of where they're at there on the south side of town. So appreciate that finally happening. I'm sure for the team there, they've had to travel, whether it be obviously playing on a football field or going over here to Mickelson Park, which is a jaunt from Shanley. To actually now have a home diamond has got to be pretty darn cool. So that was neat to see that yesterday come to fruition. Our thanks to Collin Thompson for giving us a few minutes there. I'm really intrigued to see the future of flag football here in the area. You know, we've been following it with the Cobbers for the last couple of years. We featured it here on our show, and seeing the rise of it and more people playing it. I think it's only the tip of the iceberg of honestly what's to come for down the road on that. It's really, really interesting to see, the amount of schools getting behind it. You see more and more, even now Division I schools signing off and saying they're going to do it, which is interesting to see now if it gets to the point where if it goes beyond a club-sponsored sport and it becomes a sanctioned sport at the NCAA level. I think that's the goal. I think that's what the NFL is certainly pushing for. And if we get to that spot where it's sanctioned by the NCAA, like women's wrestling has now become, look out. Then it can really get crazy popular. That's something to watch here, I think, in the next 2 to 3 years. Beyond the Olympic Games, once it gets that boon from there, are we in a spot now where that becomes sanctioned? And when do you play it? Do you play it in the spring? Stay away from the fall and then have this niche in the spring window. That could be awfully entertaining. Really, really interesting. All right, we'll break top of the hour here. We come back. Brett McMurphy on the other side here to talk about the Mountain West and the bowl tie-ins that are now coming for that league and what North Dakota State can fit into that. That's coming up. Hour 2 begins right after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 ready to rock and roll here on a Wednesday morning. Bryce Lance will join us in about 45 minutes to wrap up the show here. He's working out today, getting ready for the NFL draft, which begins, of course, tomorrow. We anticipate his name getting called on Friday. We'll visit with him to wrap things up here on the show. Tomorrow, of course, we'll have our mock draft show, and then leap into things with the first round getting going at 7 o'clock tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. Now, Britt McMurphy is going to join us here in just a few minutes. I wanted to visit first and Brett will lay this out because he is, if there's anyone tied into the bowl system and how it works, is Brett. If you follow it all on social media, I encourage you to do that. He is projecting who's going to be in what bowl games, I'd say probably by October. Knows who's tied into what bowl, which for us, we've never had to pay attention to it before. Now we do. We made a graphic here. These are the bowl games that are tied in, excuse me, Mountain West Conference. The Poinsettia Bowl is new for this year. Brett broke that story on Saturday, so we'll leave that to him. That's likely where the Mountain West champion is going to go. The Hawaii Bowl is one of them. The Idaho Potato Bowl is one of them in Boise. The New Mexico Bowl in Albuquerque. The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl is back. That's where UNLV went last year. The Arizona Bowl, which is Snoop Dogg's bowl, that's based in Tucson. And then the Rate Bowl is there as well. And we heard Sean Ryder talk about us yesterday, where New Mexico went last year. That's if a Big 10 or Big 12 team would opt out of the game. The Mountain West has first dibs on that to be played in Phoenix at the Diamondbacks Stadium. That's where the Gophers played last year against New Mexico. And these bowls a year ago, the LA Bowl is where the Mountain West champ went for the last couple of years. That bowl shuttered after last season, was played at SoFi Stadium. I think there was the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl before that. Then Gronkowski took over sponsorship. Either way, it didn't last, and now the bowl in San Diego is back to be played, I believe, and we'll ask Brett this, at the San Diego State's new stadium. Hawaii was in the Hawaii Bowl last year against Cal. The Idaho Potato Bowl, we've seen Wyoming go there. Josh Allen and Craig Bowl were in that in, I think, 2017, which was Allen's final collegiate game before the National Football League draft in 2018. The New Mexico Bowl is normally played on a Saturday once the college football season, bowl season gets going. The Frisco Bowl has usually been in the middle of the week. Arizona Bowl was on a Saturday last year. The Rate Bowl was, I believe, the day after Christmas a year ago. So those are the Mountain West Bowl tie-ins as we know it for 2025. The statement put out from Bowl Season, which is an entity that runs all the 40-some-odd bowl games, and McMurphy reported they're going to be 41 this year with the Poinsettia Bowl. There's a bowl in Puerto Rico between group of 6 teams. We don't know if the Mountain West will be involved in that. We'll ask Brett that here in a couple minutes. And then the Xbox Bowl is back, and that's in Frisco as well. That involved Conference USA and the Sun Belt a year ago. Of course, Toyota Stadium is still not available, so the Star in Frisco is where both of those bowl games will be played. Now, that's the tie-ins at least for 2026. What we don't know is going forward. The director of bowl season said because the college football playoff kicked the can down the road and didn't decide on future structure, we're still at 12 for this year. Next year, if you saw any of the stories, if you're a college football fan out there, that we still don't know if we're going to 16. Now the government has got involved. The White House is pressing to go to 24. If you thought it was just a Big Ten idea, apparently not. The Presidential Media Committee has weighed in on this, that they want to go to 24 with looks like a spot for the college football playoff to get involved in that with a at-large berth, then potentially could go into that direction. We'll see if that's the case here. I'm going to see if we can get Brett ready because, Eric, we're going to take our break later there, 10:25 this morning. So just to finish that point, so the group of 6 would potentially have a spot available if they go to 24. That's still down the road. Point being is those bowl games would potentially have new tie-ins starting in 2027. That's the part we don't know yet. Our next guest may be able to answer all of those. I mentioned off the top, he has all the bowl projections starting in October. He knows who's playing in the bowls, probably for the teams are playing in the bowls. It's great to have Brett McMurphy from the On3 Network back with us here, so we don't have to bug him about North Dakota State going to the FBS because, Brett, they're already there. Thanks for doing this, bud. How you been?
Good, Dom. Good to catch up with you again.
So, appreciate you doing this. First, let's start with the newsy part that you broke on Saturday, that the Poinsettia Bowl looks like it's going to be back, and now the Mountain West Pac-12 likely champs are going to play in that game?
Yeah, basically, since last year that the LA Bowl folded, the Bahamas Bowl officially folded, the Detroit Bowl folded. So the bowl lineup, if you will, was down 3 bowls. So they had to restock those. So Poinsettia is starting up again. It's not official, but it could be the champs from the new Pac-12 in the Mountain West. And then Puerto Rico is going to have a game, which Mountain West probably will not be involved in that.
Okay.
But again, anyone that's not in a power league, it can go anywhere. That's what North Dakota State fans need to be prepared for. And then the Xbox Bowl, which is in Frisco, Texas, is going to run it back again. So that's the 3rd additional bowl. So where it gets kind of challenging going, and we don't know exactly obviously where these teams are going to go, or even what conferences are affiliated with each other, because the college football playoff, as you know, is only done a 1-year extension,
right,
stay at 12 teams. So what that means is all the bowl games, they can't go do new deals, so they just keep their current conference affiliation and move that forward 1 year. Well, where that gets tricky for the Mountain West, specifically North Dakota State involvement, is basically now you've got a new conference with the new Pac-12. And why I say that is the teams formerly from the Pac-12 that went to the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, we know who those are, they are tied in for this year to what are the Pac-12 Legacy Bowls. So that's the Alamo, Holiday, Vegas, Sun, and Independence. So what that means is that any of those teams that used to be in the Pac-12 will go to those games. So the unknown, and I've talked to several people inside the league and outside the leagues, they're trying to figure out where these new Pac-12 teams are going to go. Because in theory, they should still go to the Mountain West Bowl games. But then you've got new members of the Mountain West, and the Mountain West Bowls are Arizona, Potato and Boise, New Mexico, Hawaii, keep your fingers crossed, and then a number of ESPN Bowls that are, through all over the country. So that's where it's going to get challenging to figure out spots for the new Pac-12 former Mountain West teams and the new Mountain West teams. But hey, I don't even know why you're talking about a bowl game because I don't know if you saw my story earlier this summer. North Dakota State's projected to be favored in every game, so they're going to the playoff, baby. You don't have to worry about a bowl game.
Let me tell you, Rhett, that is, I'm sure, going to rankle feathers in the Mountain West. They haven't even played a football game there yet, and I saw that, absolutely. We chatted about it when you had that come out. For people that we're trying to educate fans now, Brett, they understood the FCS playoffs. The selection of teams, let's just stay for this year, and let's just assume the Mountain West keeps its current tie-ins. Is it basically how you finish in the league, what bowl takes you? Can you explain that?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a selection by the bowl. So,
okay.
But see, here's another chance. Last year, Los Angeles was guaranteed the Mountain West champ.
Yep.
Would go to Los Angeles and play a team from the old Pac-12, where now there's no LA Bowl. So that's why if the Poinsettia goes with the champs from the Mountain West and the Pac-12, that's pretty simple. They automatically go to that game if they're not in the playoff. So then after that, usually Arizona usually has the second selection. So what that means is Arizona, and it changes conference to conference, but specifically for the Mountain West, what that means is Arizona, and I don't think they have a clause that you have to be within a certain number of wins. So basically, they could take 6-6 San Jose State over 11-1 North Dakota State if they wanted to. It's not dependent on where they finish in the standings, and that's where a lot of fans in all the different conferences are like, well, why is this team getting picked over us, or why is this team going to a better bowl? Because it is the selection of the bowl. But basically in the non-power conference games, it's usually all of them they all kind of work together. And there is a lot of horse trading. So, I just mentioned Arizona, Potato, New Mexico, Hawaii. Those are all Mountain West games. There may not be a Mountain West team in any of those games because they may move to a different game to move another team over. Yeah. ESPN owns a lot of the non-power bowl games. And so sometimes they horse trade with other conferences to fit it. So basically they make sure everybody that's qualified is in, but it is a little frustrating because you're not guaranteed of, hey, if we win this game, if we finish second, if we finish third, we're going to this destination. Yeah. It's still dependent on the bowl on who they want to select. And obviously they have different priorities on who they want to bring there.
Brett, how much does a traveling fan base come into that as well? I think you well know North Dakota State fans are certainly amped up for this. If the Bison do qualify, is that one of the contingencies for a bowl selection process?
Of the top three reasons, that's number 1, 2, and 3. So that's good news for North Dakota State. Yeah. They obviously would be a very attractive team for any bowl because I'm guessing, like you said, the enthusiasm, making the jump to FBS and going to a bowl game. If and obviously the bowl is having conversations with the athletic directors and stuff leading up to the bowl selection, trying to get a read. Hey, okay, how many tickets are you guys going to sell? What's and obviously the schools are, trying to make their programs more attractive to these games. But yeah, certainly the bowl, I've been doing this long enough. The bowls want a team and a fan base that wants to be there. Yep. They don't want a 6-6 team that barely got there, that was projected to win 12 games, and everyone's mad and they want the coach fired and all that.
I have to ask as well, like last year, the New Mexico got in the rate bowl because Iowa State and Kansas State opted out. Is that also an opportunity for a Mountain West, or is that completely, like you mentioned, contingent on who's available and what the bowl wants?
Well, it is contingent, but the Mountain West does have a backup with the rate bowl.
Okay.
And so the rate bowl has a contract with the Big Ten and the Big 12. So if either one of those leagues is not able to fill all of their obligations and they have an opening, then yeah, the Mountain West is a backup and has a contract with the rate bowl. So yeah, that's a possibility. There are a lot of bowls that have backup plans with other conferences. And I'm sure, maybe some listeners are like, well, how is the Big Ten not going to qualify enough? How's the Big 12 not going to qualify enough? Well, that's where it gets tricky because specifically with the Big Ten, when I say the Big Ten, I'm not including Oregon. I'm not including USC. I'm not including Washington. I'm not including, the former Pac-12 teams. They don't go to a Big Ten bowl. And then you have 2 or 3 Big Ten teams, Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State. They get pulled up into the playoff. And then now you don't have the new members that are included. So now you're left with the Wisconsin, Michigan, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois group like that.
Yep.
And some of those guys don't get to 6 wins. And now suddenly you can't fill the Pinstripe Bowl. You can't fill the Rate Bowl. And so then those games have to go find another team. Again, North Dakota State would be very attractive, but also, the Mountain West is not going to simply say, oh, you know what, here, you can take one of our premier teams and take them to a non-Mountain West Bowl. We'll let you do that. But again, there are a lot of considerations. ESPN plays a major, major part in this also. But yeah, it'll be fascinating. You guys will be frustrated, may not be the right word. You'll see a million bowl projections.
Yeah.
Just know that in September, my accuracy rate is about 0.3%. but when we get to November, I'm about 70%.
Okay.
And when we get to December, I'm in the 90% rate. And I take this very seriously. But yeah, I do it year round because it's fun. People love to see them. But as far as the playoff, like if North Dakota, I know, we're maybe getting ahead of ourselves, but if they go 12-0 obviously the schedule is not going to compare with some of the teams they're going to be compared with.
Yep.
But if they're at a 12-0 and you're comparing them with a 10-2, a 2-loss team from the American, a 2-loss Sun Belt team, I think they would have a very, very good shot. Now, if they're being compared to a 1-loss team from another group of 6 league that played a power opponent and perhaps had a win against a power opponent, then it may be tough for North Dakota State to get picked over them since, making the jump, obviously they don't have any power opponents on their schedules yet.
Brett, what have you heard from, obviously, the Division I cabinet's going to meet, or oversight committee next month, on signing off? It looks like, if it got this far, from what I'm told, that it's going to get approved for the FCS to FBS waiver, that Sacramento State, North Dakota State will be immediately eligible, not just for a bowl game, but for the college football playoff. Have you heard any tea leaves on this potentially getting signed off next month?
No, I haven't, Dom, but the fact they got to this point, it's usually a rubber stamp at this point. So I know, Matt Larson's done a lot of work behind the scenes, and that's paid off. And he's right. And, James Madison had to do, they had to sit out also. I mean, I understand why the rule was, I guess I do. I don't understand it, to be honest. I guess, 100 years ago, the man invented fire, and then the next day they said, okay, you have to wait 2 years to be eligible for an FBS bowl when you transition. So that's how long that rule's been in place. But now, the game has changed. It's so different. Yeah. Just the fact that it's so comical that they increase the fee to move from
$5
FCS.
million. Yes.
It's like an Austin Powers, accent. $5 million. It used to be it was $5,000.
Yes.
Like, we could have paid for it. And so whatever. To answer your question, it's gotten to this point. Yeah. It's basically a rubber stamp at this point. But also, it's it's important because now, again, how do you motivate a team? How do those teams before, okay, guys, first practice, let's go. Oh, by the way, we can't go to a bowl game for 2 years. All right, let's go. You're like, what? What are you talking about? So obviously, incentive-wise, that's huge for you guys and Sacramento State. Obviously, not expecting the same type of success, but yeah, just to be able to have that carrot at the end of the stick compared to the old days where it's basically like, well, you can go 12-0, but you can't go anywhere because why? Well, because this is our first year in the new league. That doesn't make sense.
Brett, I have to add, you cover bowls tremendously, and I'm interested. The narrative before North Dakota State moved up is the bowls are dying. There's no interest, and players opt out of the games, and who's watching them, and it's completely the opposite of that. Can you speak to the interest level of where college football bowl games that are not attached to the playoff are heading into 2026?
In 2026, they're okay. And look, I'm a straight shooter. You know that. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. In 2027, though, I think it's going to be drastically changed. I've multiple people in power leagues, outside of power leagues. There is a real push among power leagues to not play any non-power league teams in the bowl games going forward, starting in 2027.
Wow.
And, okay, well, great. In 2026, that doesn't matter. North Dakota State's likely not going to play a power conference team unless they get in the playoff. But what that does is that means you could have a expansion of the playoff. That's going to happen eventually, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever. And then does that go to 16? Does that go to 24? There's some talk that, if you go to 24, the power leagues would say, okay, if we're not in a 24-team playoff, we're not going to go to a bowl game. The players will opt out. We saw, what Notre Dame did last year.
Yep.
You have coaching changes. Iowa State and Kansas State, they both opted out. So the power leagues, I think it's different than the non-power leagues. The challenge, though, is for the non-power leagues is, it's a feeder system for the power leagues, and so you've got players that are at non-power leagues, and at the end of the season, they're being recruited, they're being sought after to quote move up to a power league team. So if you've got a number of those guys moving
Yeah.
and transitioning, going in the portal, then how many guys are left to play in these bowl games for the non-power league? So 2027 is going to be fascinating to see how this ends up. It doesn't mean they're dead. It's just going to be drastically different. Like I mentioned, they added 3 new bowl games to replace the 3 they lost. If this was 2027 and the playoff goes to 16 or goes to 24 and they lose 3 bowl games, they are not going to replace them.
Interesting.
I know that because again, you're pulling teams that were bowl eligible up into the playoff, and then you're not going to have enough team to fill these games. Yeah. And then there is a real concern within the bowl community that these players will not play in these bowl games, and some of them are hoping to get language in these NIL deals that you must participate in any postseason to get paid and that sort of thing. But it's kind of a moving target. The bad news is none of this is going to be settled until Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti can agree on what they want the playoff to be. And Dom, to be very candid, I don't know if they'll decide. Their deadline's December. Right. I don't know if for 2027. I don't know if they'll come to an agreement by 2027. Wow. I know, a lot of coaches want to go to 24, and that's for self-preservation.
Yes.
Because if I can, you can't fire me if I go to a playoff.
Correct.
And I get a better chance when there's 24 teams instead of 12.
Brett, this was awesome. Let's do this again because your bowl information is top-notch. Thanks for doing this, and we'll chat when we get closer to the season, okay?
You just got to promise me one thing.
What's that?
When you have the parade down Main Street celebrating the college football playoff invitation on the Grand Marshal.
You can do that, absolutely. Thanks for doing this, man. We'll chat soon, okay?
Take care.
Brett McMurphy for the On3 Network. That was great. And hopefully really informational stuff there on the bowl. He knows it, and he spilled it there. That was awesome. All right, we're way overdue. Let's get caught up here. We got a couple breaks to get in. Bryce Lance coming up here in about 15 minutes as well. Hot Mic rolls on. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. You're looking at video. The Bison back on the practice field. Just a couple days left for spring football. We come back. We'll give you the last look at NDSU getting ready for the final couple of practices. Bryce Lance coming up in about 15 minutes as well. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, North Dakota State wraps up spring football practice on Friday. You can watch the final practice from inside the indoor facility, 6:30, right here on WDAY Extra. Myself, Kyle Emanuel, Sam Getzinger will join you. Get your first look at the 2026 Bison. That's coming up on Friday night. Join us for that. This is video from our last time up at practice as the Bison are going tomorrow and then Friday to put official bow on spring football for 2026. Couple of positions that we have been keeping our eyes on, typically offensive line, where Gage Schmidt, you'll hear from him coming up later in the week, is emerged as potentially the guy at center with Griffin Empey moving back and forth between the guard positions. Katie Anene at one tackle and then Ryan Babbitts at the other. Guys you've all heard from this month. Wide receiver has been interesting. Obviously, we know that NDSU is bringing in 2 portal additions there. Jackson Williams looks the part. You watch him here. This is on a end zone drill. He's been tremendous all month long. He is set to pop in his junior season. Isaiah St. Romain, another wide receiver to keep your eyes on, out of Williston, who's been battling a little bit of a hamstring injury most of the month. That's another guy. Chris Keel's another one that we're going to have a feature on, if not this week, then early next, on what his spring has been like. Defensively, they've been lights out. I think that's really been the strength of the team, and I think could be the strength of the team going into 2026. Matthew Stenbrotten been really good at defensive end. Victor Isley's another. You saw Vic a little bit in our highlight package there that's set for a really big year. Now wearing number 0, young man out of Nebraska set to potentially pop this upcoming fall. With Kelton McCaslin back as well, Anthony Oakes, the transfer in from Montana Tech. We know the guys on the inside. The linebackers is one, if you're going to watch Friday, that for me is to keep an eye on. Alex Elliott to try to get out there and play football for the first time in 4 years. He hasn't played competitive football since his days at Hutchinson High School. Keith Williams is another one, the transfer from Cornell, to keep an eye on. We had a feature on him last week on the news as a guy that can he potentially, and you can't say fill the shoes of Nathaniel Staling, can he be adequate there? Peter Haugo's going to get some reps. Gavin Sell is a young man, redshirt freshman, that's going to get reps. You know what Donovan Woolen is out there, and Donovan hasn't practiced this month after recovering from off-season surgery. The back end safety, they're loaded there. Darius Givens, Taylor Eady, Will Stiles, a name to get to know. Jalen Archibald is a name to get to know. You're going to see those guys out there on Friday. Jalen Crumby's already started and played a bunch of games. Corners in a position we're going to focus on Friday night. The two corners that have come in from the Division II ranks. DJ Davis, DJ Volts, and EJ Davis. Those are guys to keep an eye on for this upcoming fall that I think have assimilated well, but now going from not just D2 to FCS, it's D2 to FBS football. There's a jump there, and some younger guys at the corner spot. Can they get into the mix? That to me is a lot of the intriguing spots and positions we're going to talk about for Friday. So looking forward to that. We'll hit the air 6:30. If you can have the draft going, we're going to keep our eyes on that because our next guest is certainly have his name called when we're on the air, but should be a blast, and looking forward to doing that coming up on Friday. We're going to do our normal end of the show here so we have as much time as we can for Bryce. One thing I wanted to mention here before we get to what to watch. The transfer portals in basketball are officially closed. Everything shut down yesterday for the men. The women closed on Monday. We have the final stats of players that left from the Dakota school, or at least North Dakota, that left. The Bison men had 9 departures. The UND men had 9. That is par for the course. That's 2 years in a row for both the Bison and the Fighting Hawks have lost that many guys. The Bison women had 1 player leave. That was Amelia Hobson. UND saw 3 players decide to transfer on. I also, out of fairness and responsible journalism, to report this. The South Dakota State and St. Thomas women had 0 players leave. That's especially impressive at St. Thomas. St. Thomas is a new coach, Mandy Pearson taking over, and they didn't lose anybody. That's awfully impressive. The Jackrabbits, it goes without saying. AJ's going to keep his players because that's what he does. It was so odd to see Haley Timmer leave last year, and obviously she graduated and wanted to have a chance to go play high major basketball. She did at Oklahoma State. I think we made a huge deal out of that because the Jacks just don't lose players in the portal. They did not this time around. But those are the final numbers after what has been a hectic last 6 weeks on the basketball side of things. And again, if you want to, it's not a culture thing at either one of those programs in Fargo and Grand Forks. It's just a matter of what goes on. But I wanted to throw that out there here. Let's do some What to Watch here before we go to break. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Wild are playing Game 3 tonight back at home, 8:30, probably about 8:50 tonight on TNT. Twins and Mets. Can they make it 13 in a row? 6 o'clock on Twins TV for that one. And Game 2, the Suns and the Thunder. That's at 8:30 tonight on ESPN. As we go to break, before we get Bryce on, you had to see this last night in the Avalanche Kings game where a fan beat on the glass so hard it broke. Watch the replay here. Glass shattered on the coaches and the team. Game was delayed for about 20 minutes as they had to fix that. Sean Payton, the Broncos coach, was right up there as well. Wild stuff. Let's break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Bryce Lance on the other side of the break to chat about the NFL draft and his football future. It's coming up when we come back. All right, wrapping things up here on a Wednesday morning. We're on the eve of the NFL draft. It officially begins tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. Yesterday we had one Cole Payton on to give us the lowdown on what he's hearing. because for the second year in a row, North Dakota State's going to have 2 guys get drafted. Could be 3. We'll see. Barika Penu's blowing up the draft boards. We had Barika here in studio last week. It's great to finish out our show with, I can say, the pride of Marshall, because his older brother won't get mad at me. Bryce Lance joins us here this morning as the countdown is on. Round 1 tomorrow, rounds 2 and 3 coming up on Friday. I know you have been a busy man, so let me just start with this. How excited are you for this to be done whenever it is over the next couple days?
Yeah, definitely excited just, to know, the plan for this next coming year. And it's been a fun process. I've learned a lot. But, there definitely was some little stress during this time. So I'm excited for just to know.
So what are you hearing? I know it's hard to, no one's going to play their cards here or tell you what's going to happen. But what's your representation telling you about what could happen this weekend?
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that, be ready at this time, at this point. I think it's, he just told me, everyone's saying you put your best foot forward during when you could. And I think impressed a lot of people. So, now it's just in God's hands. I did my job, and whatever happens, happens.
So we visited at Pro Day, but for viewers that didn't see that, take us back to how did life change greatly after what happened at the Combine in Indianapolis in February?
Yeah, I mean, maybe from an outside perspective, for sure. I think, I haven't been on social media much throughout this whole process. So, maybe like I said, an outside perspective. But honestly, I've just been focused on myself and improving and working really hard. And, like I said, just putting my best foot forward. So it's all been about the same for me.
To run that fast, Bryce, I know that's what you were working on for that 2-month stretch. How much did that set you up maybe for success now this coming over the next few days?
Yeah, I think that helped a ton. And I had a really good team around me. They knew I was going to run fast. So it was just kind of a matter of how fast how low I was going to go. So I'm super thankful to everyone that helped me at that point.
So I had Makai Collins on at halftime of the Bison UND basketball game that day. And I asked him, hey, how fast do you think Bryce is going to run? I think he said 4.38 to me. You beat it by 0.04 of a second. Did it surprise you how fast you ran?
No, honestly, it didn't. And I'm sure I know it surprised a lot of other people, but no, I mean, it didn't. That's all I can say. No, I wasn't surprised.
I know, and you probably can't give away the secrets here on the training part, but did you do something different? Like, what made you run? What allowed you to do that outside of your God-given ability to do that?
Yeah, like I said, I had a really good team around me. I don't think I was doing anything crazily different than anyone else training for the 40. Did I work really hard? Yeah, for sure. But I did have a really good group of knowledgeable people around me, just getting ready for the start, which is the biggest part of the 40.
I can remember 5 years ago vividly, you riding shotgun with Trey throughout this whole thing. You mentioned to me in the break that he's going to be there this weekend. How sweet is that to now he's going to be there for you to experience this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how many not many parents get to experience one draft, but now 2 drafts of their sons. I'm excited for them as well. But yeah, it's a full circle moment, and I know he's super proud of me, and I'm super happy he can make it with his schedule that worked out. But it's gonna be a really cool moment for our family.
What do you remember about that experience in Cleveland? Outside of how weird it was because we're still dealing with COVID, but what did you take away saying, man, I would love for this to happen to me?
Yeah, for sure. That was the first part for sure. Definitely kind of cemented my goals and my dreams. But I remember it being a whirlwind. Obviously Trey was pick number 3. We got there, did all the media stuff, red carpet stuff, and then we were out of there quick because once you're picked, they corral you up and you're out of there. So, I mean, it was a whirlwind, but like I said, it allowed me to visualize those dreams and goals.
We talked a lot over the last couple of years about the first 3 years here in town. How much do you think about that this may not have happened if you decided to go somewhere else after your sophomore year?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, I'm forever in debt to NDSU and all these coaches and my brothers and my teammates that poured so much into me. And I wouldn't be anywhere near, where I'm at today without them. So it's just such a special program, and that's why I'm so excited for them. Keep moving up and just be an alumni now and just cheer those guys on. I'm super excited for them.
So we had Cole on yesterday, and I was asking him about what goes through the visits. What do they do for wide receivers? Like, you're not up on the board? Are they asking you about catch radius? Like, what are they talking to you about?
Oh no, we get up on the board.
Okay.
We get up on the board.
Okay.
Yeah. They teach us, some concepts, some plays, get to know us after that, and watch some of our film as well. And then we'll teach it back to them at the end of the day or at the end of the meeting. But we meet all the coaching staff, get tours of the facilities. I feel like I was really prepared, throughout this whole process because of everything, I've done at NDSU. So I really don't think it was too much of a challenge for me.
So Cole was telling us yesterday he did all the bad plays. So are they showing you like drops or missed catches? Like, what are they going through with you?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like great job here, and then other times it's like what happened here, that kind of situation. But as to be expected, have bad plays for sure. It's just are you able to tell them what you did wrong? And, how can you improve, things like that.
I know how much your hometown means to you. What is this going to be like to be back there? You're going to have family and friends for your celebration that's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm having, all my high school friends are coming, like literally every single one. I just got the number today, so I'm super excited for that. And then some of my teammates are going to come down too, and then some of my family. So I think a big thing for me, and I don't know why I love playing football, is just bringing people together, having that opportunity to bring my family and friends together. So I'm super excited for all of them as well.
Well, I remember visiting with Coach Ballman about this. Like, your signing, you couldn't have it. I know we talked about it because you couldn't have everybody around like a typical like Trey did.
Right.
So does this feel like it's a kind of maybe a full circle here as well because you get to do this time around?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I forgot about that whole COVID signing thing. But yeah, it definitely is something like that for sure.
It's okay to forget about it. None of us really want to think about it anymore anyway. But,
yeah.
Have you envisioned yourself on a team like this? I could see myself here. Have you let your mind go there yet?
I really haven't, because it's just I don't know, and that I don't like visualizing something that might not happen. So I'm truly just it's in God's hands at this point right now, and just leaning on my family and friends at this point, and I'll find out pretty soon anyway. So
what do you think's going to go through your mind when that phone call comes? What do you think the emotion will be?
Gosh, I don't know if you can prepare for that. I really don't. I mean, I never thought I was going to see my brother cry. Then when he got that call, there they went. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be prepared for that moment. I think it's just going to be, obviously gratitude and blessed, and just, the opportunity to be started off by all my family is going to be really special. You
mentioned your mom and dad. To have this go again for them, what has this been like for them? I've had them on the show again and talked to them, but to have this go, what's their emotions for this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's different, obviously a little bit different, but maybe they're a little more prepared. They knew a little bit more about this process and everything, and they do a really good job of giving me my space when they think I need it, not asking a million questions, because like I said, they're a little more prepared. They know a little bit more about the situation. So Trey kind of went through all that stuff, which I'm really thankful for. But man, they're just so excited and happy for me. And mom's been getting the house ready for about 2 weeks now, so I'm on chores and around here, but. No, they're excited.
Last couple things for it. So I was going to ask, are you relaxing this weekend? Are you back working out? You got your feet up? What are you doing this week?
No, I'm working out. I mean, after you get drafted, rookie minicamp could be the next week.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just, and I don't really have it in me just to sit around, but to each their own. But I still got to get in some kind of routine.
Have you let your mind go there? If the Chargers do this, that it could happen again? Have you even thought about that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've thought about it for sure. I mean, it's hard not to. Who knows? Like, I literally have no idea. So that would be. I mean, yeah, that would be insane.
It's great to see you, bud. I really appreciate you making time in a crazy week. Good luck, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes. Bryce Lance, North Dakota State wide receiver, joining us here to wrap things up on a busy Wednesday. Fully anticipate that we're going to hear his name sometime Friday. Could be during our show Friday night up at NDSU. Great stuff there. If you missed it, we'll podcast that later today. That's going to put a bow on things here for today's show. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. If you missed it, you can come back and watch the replay on WDAY+. We're back tomorrow with our Hot Mic mock draft. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.